Rick, I guess we'll start with last night, Hudson. It must have been really nice to see him get those minutes.
Yeah, it was good. It was good for him. Got a really good stint. I think he's a little bit over 40 minutes. It's I always say representative football keeps building the individual, and that will certainly help his football as well.
He'll be pretty disappointed, I guess, with the result. Those minutes, that travel, how do you weigh up what you're going to do now for tomorrow night?
Yeah, it's a big ask. Both boys are right to go though. Joshy Strahorn has spoken to both boys, and obviously Corey didn't play, and Hudson had half a game, so they'll come into camp tonight with us, and we'll assess their physical status and see where they're at.
I guess the benefit of having Simi, who filled in so well the other week, is you can probably afford to play Hudson less minutes if you need.
Yeah, well, Simi's been on the bench, and he's actually been getting big minutes, and that's coming from giving me trust to playing him. You know, he's been great for us in regards to centre, back row. He comes in the back row, then I can move one of the back rows into the middle. He gives us lots of different options, and Simi's also, I think it was last year and late in the season when Rapper got injured, he came in and played 5'8" for us. I think Kay went to the fullback spot.
Big week for you, for the family. When you talk about, I guess, what it means for families when you see kids out there, how are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, no, all good actually. He's worked really hard to get there. He's actually had to work doubly hard. You know, I've made it very hard on him. So, you know, he's earned his spot, put it that way. And it's nice for any player to have the faith of others around him. You know, the players all got faith in him and all back him, and you know, that's great for him as a kid. But he's a pretty humble sort of guy. He's handled it really well.
Xavier sort of mentioned yesterday he might deliver you a box of tissues. Has he lived up to that promise yet?
No, that was him being a smart ass walking past then. So don't see my emotion as a weakness, David.
No, well, that's what he said.
I get it from my father. Although I put him up the other day to do the jumper presentation, hoping he'd cry. So I could tell the boys that's where he got it from. But the only 2 times I've seen Dad talk without crying was the other day in my wedding. I don't know what it is.
How are you feeling as a father rather than as a coach?
Yeah, you know, obviously very proud. When you see, and it's like any of the young players that make their debuts, you see all the hard work that goes into them. And I when I'm debuting a player, I think of his mum and dad. You know, I think of the journey they've had, and I often say I hate having to deliver bad news to players because I know how hard they work to get into such an elite position, and you know, I'm no different this week as a father.
I guess I think it was either Xavier or Sebastian sort of said you might have chatted to some of the leadership group as well beforehand.
I did, yeah, absolutely, and I do on a lot of decisions. Talk to the Club 82 boys, and it gave me great confidence too with their support.
We were joking a bit about it yesterday, but his height is going to be a big asset. We don't know where he gets it from, but how much does that, I guess, give you an extra attacking potency on that edge?
Well, if you know, he probably he has got that height. It's actually I'm doing a radio interview with Steve Senatiempo on Monday or Tuesday, and no, it must have been Tuesday after he saw the photo in the paper. And he said, where did he get his height from? I said, he's only 2 centimetres taller than me. And actually Steve said, oh, well, Jesus, I didn't realise that. I said, well, no, he's actually a bit more than that. I don't know, yeah. I think might have been a big milkman in Sydney. Yeah.
Can you use it though, I guess, on that edge with Seb? We know Seb's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. It's obviously an advantage in getting up, but, you know, that's probably one of the reasons he got picked in the Wallabies Sevens, you know, for his restarts and whatnot. But he is good in the air. He's just got to get the opportunity, and but it's, you know, it's more about just Jed debuting. We've got Sebi's 100th game too, and you know, it's important for us to keep our consistency.
Seb's had a long journey to get to 100 games. You could see how proud he and Xavier were yesterday of that. Like,
yeah.
It must be nice to see him really happy and thriving on the field?
It's a bit of an example, their mateship of the whole squad. You know, we're a very close squad. They're all mates, and that's driven a lot by our senior boys. And the mateship between Seb and Xavier is lovely to see. You know, two blokes who play a lot of football together now, and they're very close. And great for Sebi, local boy, who's, you know, I remember watching him when he's 14, 15-year-old. You know, following my two boys around watching football, and hearing about Seb Kris. He's been a talent ever since he's been a junior, and it's nice to see him go through the pathways and then now making his 100th appearance for us. It's a good story.
What does Jed bring to the team? He's obviously done a lot of New South Wales Cup, representing Australia, so he's got a lot of experience already under his belt. Yeah, he has. You know, he's as I said there earlier, he's actually worked very hard, and I've made it hard for him to get into this position because I want to make sure he's prepared. I want to make sure he's ready. And there's no way he's been given an easy ride. It's been really hard for him, and you know, there's opportunities where he probably could have had a chance to play first grade earlier, but I wanted to make sure he was very much experienced in the lower grades first, and build confidence with those around him, and you know, or from them. That was, you know, that was probably the dad part of it coming out. But he certainly hasn't had an easy ride in getting here.
That was what I was going to ask Ricky. Is it harder to give him a call up as his dad rather than just a coach?
Yeah, it is, and that's why I've asked for the support of the senior players in regards to what their opinions were, because, you know, I was going on what they thought. If they thought he needed more time in Cup, I wouldn't have picked him.
And, you know, have you spoken to him as his father, if you look back at your debut, maybe something you would have wanted to know back then?
I've really treated him as a coach, really. As I said, he's quite a humble bloke, and it certainly hasn't gone to his head or whatnot. It's you know, from a father's point of view, I've probably just told him he's got to make sure he gets rid of his phone later on this afternoon. He doesn't need any distraction going into tomorrow night. It's more about focusing on a job he's got to do, and he's one player in 17 that's got to do a job.
Speaking of tomorrow night, Tigers are a pretty unpredictable team. How do you go about shutting down their sort of attacks? Really predictable.
Yeah, look, we really we know they're an unpredictable attacking team. They've got I think they've got the highest offloads in the competition, and that creates a lot of energy in their play. And it's you know, they put 48 points on us down there last year, so we're a different football team to that team last year. So we just got to make sure that you know, that we defend well, and our attack will come off the back of that.
What do you sort of make of the Jerome Luai incident last night? And I guess his fine. I haven't really thought about it, mate, to be honest. It is what it is, and I didn't think he was going to get suspended anyhow, so nothing really surprised me there.
Do you think Corey obviously didn't get to play last night, but getting that win, keeping that series alive, he'll be bouncing in with a fair bit of energy?
Yeah, he will. You know, there's probably 2 or 3 games now to play before the next Origin, at least 2, and you know, Corey keeps his form up. You just don't know in regards to injuries or whatnot. Billy probably won't change that team now unless there's a necessity through injury or suspension. So all Corey's got to do is just keep doing what he's doing. He's there for a reason, and obviously now getting involved in the 20-man squad. If there's as I say, an injury or a suspension somewhere, he gets his chance.
With Billy's hat on, you reckon Laurie can get them up to seal it on home soil?
Yeah, no, I hope he does, because Jamal annoyed the hell out of me in the team meeting today, walking in in a Maroons jumper. He looked like an idiot.